The girl was sleeping soundly, but her bed was opened by her father. She got up to check, but her hair was caught, so she put it back on the bed. Her father had desire in his eyes, so he wiped her body without covering his eyes. Then he lowered his head and stared at the girl's face. My daughter has grown up well. The girl was so scared that she trembled, but she didn't dare to resist. Her father loosened her hair and rubbed her cheek. Then she left with satisfaction. Only the girl was left lying on the bed. She couldn't figure out why her father, who used to be kind, was in a bad mood. However, the next morning, her father didn't seem to remember what happened last night, and he laughed and joked with her. The girl didn't get dizzy, but she got up in anger and left. But her mother, who was usually gentle and virtuous, was also abnormal at this time. She was eating like a wolf eating a tiger. Her son only complained that the food was too salty today, so she picked up the food and stuffed it into her mouth. The rest of the food was forced to eat by her son. Her father comforted her son and said it was okay not to eat. Her mother threw the food away like a madman. Where's the food? Where's the side dish? How did I feed you and raise you? Hey, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. Honey, what's wrong with you? But when her father came home from work at night, his wife was watching TV like nothing happened. He asked his wife what was going on in the morning and why she was so angry. Unexpectedly, his wife said she went to her best friend's morning market early in the morning. She wasn't at home in the morning. This made her father feel terrified. Who was cooking in the morning? At this time, when her sister was taking a shower upstairs, she suddenly heard a knock on the door. She raised her hand to wipe off the dirt on the glass and saw the girl standing behind the glass, motionlessly. She was in a very strange mood and asked her sister to kill everyone in the family. What's that? It's a scarecrow. Her sister was very confused and ran to her sister's room to ask what she meant by what she said just now. But the girl said she was in the room all night and never went out. She also told her sister about her father pulling her quilt last night. Her sister naturally didn't believe it and said she might have had a nightmare. But her sister said the mother in the morning was also very strange. Her parents seemed to be possessed. Her sister was also suspicious after hearing it. After all, she saw this strange appearance of her mother in the morning. At this time, her father suddenly broke into the room. The two sisters didn't dare to believe that their biological father would scold them like this. When they didn't know what to do, her father took a knife from the side and threw it at them. Her sister pushed him down with all her might. But as soon as she went out, he appeared in front of her again. Her father didn't say a word and threw her sister off the building with one hand. She fell heavily on the stairs and lost consciousness. Her sister couldn't take care of her sister's safety and hurried downstairs to hide. But her father quickly brought a hammer to find her. She was about to be found. Her sister woke up and called for help in time. This led her father back to the building. In a hurry, her sister hit her father on the face with a pan, but it didn't cause any harm. The next second, her father's iron hammer shouted at her. There was another father's voice downstairs. Her father stopped moving and turned to the room behind him. Then Jiang came up from downstairs and saw two daughters still trembling. Jiang was confused and stepped on the hammer on the floor. He looked at the hole in the door. He went up to ask if the two sisters had a fight, but he didn't. Realized that the two daughters were afraid of his father. The son who suddenly appeared broke the situation. Jiang was trying to explain the situation. Her two sisters quietly told her brother to hurry back. At the same time, a woman's hand picked up the hammer on the floor. It turned out to be the mother of the 6 gods. She didn't say anything and walked over with the hammer. She raised her head without blinking and hit her father without hesitation. The whole family was scared. Her mother turned to look at the girl and hit her father with a hammer. Her father quickly protected her and was hit several times. Then her mother showed a strange smile and turned away. Her feet were pierced by glass, and she didn't feel it. She quietly walked into the room just now. But it wasn't over yet. There was a mother at the entrance of the stairs. She walked up in a strange way. Her father turned his head and looked at the room. He was confused. Who was that person just now? He looked at his mother in shock and walked to the door. When he opened the door, the mother who had just walked into the room disappeared. But the hammer left on the floor proved the strangeness of the situation. At this moment, Jiang finally realized that something was disturbing at home and was probably related to their neighbors. It turned out that not long ago, Jiang's family had just moved here. Everything was normal during the day, but at night, he was so noisy that he couldn't sleep. The sound came from the neighbor's house. Next door, Jiang was based on the theory of the past. But the first day, his wife didn't want to move here. She had a fight with her neighbor. He had to put up with it. But the next morning, a dead dog was hung in front of the window. His second daughter fainted on the spot. Fortunately, she was fine. However, when the whole family came back from the hospital, they found that the neighbor next door not only occupied his seat, but also crushed the chair used by his son to occupy the seat. Jiang couldn't stand it anymore. He came to the neighbor's house to ask for an explanation. But as soon as he entered the house, he smelled a strong smell of evil. What was more shocking was that there were animals everywhere in the yard. On the fake mountain next to it, there were even a few faces of real people carved on it. It was so strange that Jiang also had a cold. He knocked on the door with courage. When he saw that no one answered, he pushed the door in without permission. But it was even more cruel in the room. There was blood everywhere on the floor. There was not even a place to set foot. There were countless animal corpses hanging on the beam. When he was shocked by this, he was suddenly poked in the back by something. When he saw the living person, Jiang finally relaxed. But the cold expression of the man soon made him shudder. He said, "Don't occupy your own seat," and left in a hurry. He thought that the neighbor would be restrained. Who knew that the familiar pecking sound on that night would ring again? Jiang, who was angry, called the police. The neighbors, who couldn't stand it, also stood up to support him, who knew that the man had changed his face. He kept apologizing to the neighbors. Jiang, of course, didn't want to let it go. He reported that the man was abusing animals. There were animals everywhere in the house. But when he followed the police to check, not only the corpses in the yard disappeared, but also the room was unusually clean. The police thought it was the sound of a weaving machine that disturbed the neighbor. He warned the neighbor not to work in the middle of the night. "Excuse me, I definitely saw it. During the day, the chicken was dead and the blood was dripping." The chicken was dead and the blood was dripping. Jiang tried to explain to the police, but he was blind and deaf. The police even told Jiang not to call the police, although he was helpless. He had no choice but to do it. However, no one noticed that the man's mouth was harder to press than AK's. The next few days, the neighbor didn't work in the middle of the night. So Jiang's family soon forgot about the previous misfortune until they slowly showed abnormalities and even started to hurt each other. Jiang realized that something was wrong. Fortunately, he had a biological brother who was a priest. He called Jiang for help. After hearing Jiang's strange story, Jiang thought that a demon could enter the house at will and suggested that everyone sleep together at night to prevent the demon from turning into their appearance to hurt them. At 2:30 in the middle of the night, his son suddenly urinated and wanted his sister to go with him, but his sister was in deep sleep and didn't respond to him. There was no way. His son had to go to the bathroom by himself. But at this time, there was an identical son, holding a sharp knife in his hand. He walked to the exorcist and raised the knife to show a strange smile and then stabbed the exorcist who was in deep sleep. But it didn't work. It seemed that something was stopping him. His son had to give up for the time being. The exorcist, who was in deep sleep, also opened his eyes at this time. Because the exorcist was there, the family had a peaceful night. The next day, the exorcist turned on the surveillance camera and saw that the dirty thing had turned into his son last night. He knew that he was no longer the opponent of the dirty thing. He had to ask the exorcist for help. Before leaving, he told his father secretly that he put holy water in the water last night. But only his sister didn't drink it this morning. This means that the dirty thing was hidden on his sister. The exorcist told him to keep an eye on his sister. Don't make a mistake. That afternoon, the exorcist went to the airport to pick up his master. It seems that all this is the dirty thing's trick. So the exorcist hurried to his home with his master. Unexpectedly, a group of strange birds suddenly appeared on the road. They broke the windshield glass and caused a car accident. This made the master, who had just appeared, so nervous. At the same time, the dirty thing also began to take action. The girl went to the warehouse to get something. A figure suddenly flashed by. She turned her head cautiously to look at it. The light began to dim. At the same time as the light dimmed, she was sucked into the furnace by a force. Then the door automatically closed. The girl was burned to death like this, and the father in the room didn't know it. He was anxiously waiting for the exorcist to come back. At this time, his sister came out and said that the girl was gone. He had to go out to find her. His father thought of the warning when the exorcist left. He couldn't let his sister walk out of the door. He had to knock her out first and tie her to the bed. His mother couldn't bear it, but there was no other way. In the middle of the night, the exorcist, who was covered in blood, finally came back. I had a dream. I was the only one who came here. His eldest daughter was tied to the bed by his father. Jiang was forced to drive the exorcist away alone. First, he poured holy water on his eldest daughter. Then he kept hitting her with a bucket. His mother couldn't bear it and stopped him. Jiang suspected that his wife was controlled by the exorcist. He pushed her to the wall and knocked her unconscious. However, he turned around and saw that his younger brother's face showed a face of success. It turned out that the real Jiang was still unconscious at the scene of the car accident. The younger brother in front of Jiang was transformed into an exorcist. He asked his son to run away quickly. He rushed to the exorcist without hesitation. However, he was no match for Jiang. Fortunately, his son ran away obediently. The exorcist didn't chase Jiang at first. Instead, he picked up a piece and wanted to kill Jiang. At the critical moment, the scripture came out. Lord, don't let the arrogant eyes and false tongues deceive you. Cut off the hands and feet of the innocent and save them from evil. Please light up the eternal and holy light and light up the path of darkness. Lord, please drive them away. The real younger brother finally came back. The exorcist was also temporarily repelled by his curse. Then, they went to the warehouse to find their son. They found the second daughter who had been burned to death in the stove. However, they were not sad. The daughter with scars appeared again.